I'm Shelby Travers. When I was a kid, I used to love playing Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64.
But that all changed when I turned 14.
It was in 2008 when a brain injury changed my life forever. I was lucky to be alive, and I've gone on to live a healthy and happy life, even getting my guide dog Francis along the way. However, the injury did affect my sight. I now only have slight left peripheral vision. My days of playing video games had come to a screeching halt. Would it be that way forever? This is Gaming Blind. There are almost 8 billion people in the world. Of those, 2.2 billion play video games. The combined video game industry is worth a whopping $116 billion. With a market of such epic proportions, I thought some of these people playing must be blind or have low vision.
I wonder how many people are like me. How many other gamers have lost their sight and now can't play? How many people are blind or low vision and want to play but can't because the games aren't accessible?
Searching for blind gamers online, I hit the jackpot.
Exploring accessibility for disabled gamers, web content.
And find the Game Accessibility Conference in San Francisco, California. So I decide to hop on a plane with my guide dog Francis to find out what it's all about and to see if accessibility in video games for the blind was on the radar.
This is San Francisco, known for the flower power hippie movement in the 1960s, and Haight-Ashbury, where I am now, was the epicenter of it all. But today, San Francisco is known for its booming tech industry, earning it the name Silicon Valley. Huge internet companies like Twitter, Uber, and Google call San Francisco their home. The Bay Area is also home to 2 major video game makers, Sony Interactive and Electronic Arts. Welcome to the 2018 edition of the Game Accessibility Conference held at the Children's Creativity Museum. This is the second year that people from around the world come together to discuss a wide variety of topics relating to video game accessibility.
Start doing it. It's been kind of a common thread today that I've heard. James spoke of it earlier.
The hope is to have attendees leave with inspiration and practical knowledge of how to ensure their vision is able to reach as wide a range of players as possible. So no player is unnecessarily excluded from the access to culture, recreation, and socializing that gaming brings. I was curious to learn more, and I wanted to find someone who could give me more insight on how games are made accessible for blind and low vision players. This is Ian Hamilton. Ian is the director of the Game Accessibility Conference. Ian, who hails from England, is an accessibility advocate and consultant. His background includes working in gaming for preschool children with profound and multiple disabilities. Today, he works to raise the profile and understanding of accessibility in video gaming. Lastly, he's also a speaker.
There's been a real sea change in the understanding and attitudes and implementation of accessibility around the industry.
He tells me why the conference was started.
It kind of came about through kind of a mix of need and opportunity. More and more often, talks about accessibility were being accepted onto lineups at conferences, whereas it kind of felt really that there was enough people doing it now that it was time to try to kind of push the conversation forward a bit more and get more into some more like specific case studies and best practices and all that kind of stuff.
And the second goal for the conference?
Just to get people in a room together, because so often there'll be like a person in a team or like a couple, like a person in different teams in the same company who are kind of doing this kind of stuff as individuals. So just to be able to get, you know, like 120 people all with the same kind of mindset and the same goals in a room together.
And for Ian, it's all about inclusion.
What really interests me though is the number of people that could be out there if accessibility was better. What people want is to be included in the stuff that their friends are doing, the stuff that you see on the billboard, you know?
And I really appreciate that. She's probably the biggest influence on my life.
This is Karen Stevens. Karen is the full-time accessibility lead at sports game developer EA Sports. At one time, she was a software engineer working in the medical industry. But in 2005, she jumped to the game industry where she developed games for Microsoft. Karen is also nearly deaf and reads lips to better understand a conversation. Her disability inspired her to become a champion for accessibility in video games. She's the person behind accessibility features on the game Madden NFL 18, and she's here at the conference to ramp up accessibility.
Which gives you an idea of how maybe you can replicate what I've done at EA at your own companies. I have a friend who's legally blind, and when I first joined EA, I knew he was a huge Raiders fan. So I said, oh, are you looking forward to new Madden? He's like, oh, I can't play it. I'm like, why can't you play it? Ever since they switched to 1080p, the icons were too small for him to see. It was just so frustrating, he stopped playing.
Named after Hall of Fame coach John Madden, Madden NFL is a sports game institution that sold well over 100 million copies. It's known for being realistic and releasing updates every year.
Touchdown, Philadelphia, with a first touchdown of the Super Bowl and a long one at that.
Karen created a Twitter and email account and asked for feedback from the blind community.
Where are you having difficulties? What are your biggest pain points? And it was around things like kicking the ball and knowing when a ball was an error, or just things like that, basic things. And so I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, well, this should be a fixable problem. This is, I don't see any reason why people should not be able to play this game.
Making sure everyone is able to play is what drives her to make games accessible, including for blind and low vision players.
A lot of people never thought about, can blind people play games? And the answer is, of course they can. Blind gamers are playing our games already, and they're playing more than one of them. And I went and did some research to figure out how they were able to do this, what could we do to better support them.
Karen's example at EA is great news for Ian Hamilton. It shows that developers are starting to get it.
It's more about now addressing misconceptions about that it's going to be really difficult and expensive to do, that it's going to mean diluting down my ideas, and like all these kind of ideas that people have, that none of them are really true.
A screen reader is actually a very sophisticated type of technology.
This is Michelle Martin. She is the founder of Metal Pop Games, an independent game development studio. A few years ago, she was contacted by blind players asking if she could make her games accessible. Although she had not heard of screen readers before, the idea of adding voiceover technology to her games got her thinking of how she could make it happen.
Voiceover on.
That's when the Unity accessibility plugin was born.
There's all these great screen readers out there, the VoiceOver and the TalkBack and NVDA, and Unity won't work with any of them.
Unity is a platform that some developers use to build video games.
Hi, and welcome to this basic tutorial for the Unity Accessibility plugin.
Michelle's plugin is the key to making those games accessible.
I've written a plugin for Unity that recreates all that screen reader functionality inside Unity, so you can just get my plugin and then make the games you make also accessible.
Using this plugin, Metal Pop created the game Crafting Kingdom.
Crafting Kingdom, main menu.
It allows players to build estates, all on smartphones or tablets.
You seem to really focus on blind gaming, and until, from what my understanding is, until recently, that's kind of been a disability that hasn't been considered much with video games. Why is that something that you think is starting to change or needs to be changed, where blind gaming is a market that a lot of people haven't tapped into?
Well, I think the biggest problem is really just people don't know. Most people are like me 2 years ago, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Even after I did some investigation into audio games and screen readers, I still thought, well, okay, but anything that is 3D is not ever going to be accessible. And then I started watching YouTube and was proven wrong. And I'm still learning about this, to be quite honest. I think it's brilliant, and I think if just more developers watched a few of these YouTube clips, they just think about it differently and more games would become accessible.
The conference continues. In talking to the developers directly, I'm learning so much about the barriers they face in making games accessible.
The first game that we created was a game called Dice World.
This is Nick Barbado. He is the founder of Pangea Games. They specialize in mobile social games that work with the typical text-to-speech function on smartphones. Pangea Games has been accessible since 2012, first by accident and now by design.
Dice World. Double tap to open.
Dice World wasn't originally for the blind. It's a multiplayer game like Dice with Buddies, or like Words with Friends is the best example. So you take your turn, turn-based game, you can chat through the game. It's all social, you're always playing somebody else. And after about a month of it being live, this is early 2012, a lady reached out and said, hey, you know, thanks for making your game somewhat accessible. She just said, and I was like, I don't know what that means, so, you know. Emailed her back. Turns out she was totally blind, and we had done a few things in there to make the game like somewhat accessible, where some things were labeled right, but still, it wasn't very good. But once we started learning more about the accessibility and what was possible, we just jumped all in and worked on it for the next probably 2 years straight, making it completely accessible.
Tell me a little bit about the process of making all these functions accessible for the blind.
So, I mean, every element on the screen that a sighted person can see that's useful information, you want to let the blind person know about as well. Beyond that, you get into the gameplay and really dig into the logic of the game and explain what's going on the screen, what's going on before the turn, after the turn.
And start to try to find owners for issues that exist so people could feel, again, empowered to take on something.
Listening to all the speakers here at GAConf really lets me know that they're listening to our community and that they're trying to make things more accessible for the blind.
You must provide auditory information through at least one mode in visual form.
The other thing about conferences is that you never know who you're going to run into.
At Microsoft, we have a mission, and that mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more.
This is Bryce Johnson. He is a designer at Microsoft and is also part of Xbox's Inclusive Design Lab. Although he was a speaker at the conference last year, this year he is taking it all in as a guest.
What we try to do is we try to recognize where we might exclude people and then try to figure out how we can include them.
Bryce explains how Xbox engages with the blind and low vision community to understand how game visuals can be enhanced while maintaining the original integrity of the game.
We want to create things that people can see and can perceive, but we want them to have the soul of the game. So like, to give you an example, we have Forza, which is a game about driving. It has a lot of many beautiful cars and many beautiful environments to drive those cars in. Yep. So I wouldn't want to destroy the fidelity of that game to make it accessible. I want to figure out how we can still have the feeling of those cars and the feeling of those environments while still making it perceivable for someone who's low vision.
Play. Crafting Kingdom. Play.
And that's the point, keeping the game's integrity while making it accessible so it can be enjoyable for everyone to play. According to Michelle Martin, that can be quite easy.
Sometimes that's all it takes. It's this extra sound effect here that you add in and those subtitle settings that you add in there. And usually one person in the company is enough, and then they hopefully go and spread the word.
Speaking of one person, at EA Sports, that person is Karen Stevens.
And my friend could play Madden again because he could finally see all the icons and everything on the field.
She's been spreading the word that gaming should be for everyone.
It's a way to connect, and I understand how important it is for people to be able to play with each other, like friends and family. The fact that I'm focusing mostly on the blind is simply that they seem to need the most attention. They've been the most ignored. So that is the biggest opportunity for bringing people together.
These stories are great, but it takes more than just developers. The gaming community must continue to speak up, according to Ian Hamilton.
But if the gamers aren't saying, like, what you've done is really good, I like it, keep doing it, or like, that game over there is doing it, why aren't you, please do this, you know, you need to have that continual dialogue, like the developers and the gamers speaking with each other.
What a day. Francis and I are so tired, But listening to all the speakers at the Game Accessibility Conference helped me learn the perspective of a game developer when trying to make a game accessible and all the barriers that come with that. But ultimately, I can see me playing games real soon in the future.
Now it's time to leave behind Fisherman's Wharf and Alcatraz in San Francisco and move on to my next destination.
I'm Shelby Travers. The quest for me to play video games has taken me to the vibrant city of Toronto. With a population of around 3 million people, it's no surprise that I would find someone to play video games with here. My guide dog Francis and I are at Yonge in Dundas Square, headed to meet with blind gamer Steve Saylor. I hope I don't completely fail.
Hey, Shelby.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Ready to play some games?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. This is gonna be great. I think I'm gonna die relatively quickly in this one.
This is Steve Saylor. Growing up, he believed that his low vision prevented him from playing video games.
Oh, stop. Dang it.
But as an adult, he embraced gaming with the sight he has, and it has become his passion. And like many others, his favorite game of the moment is Fortnite. He now films himself playing games in a small studio, edits the videos, and posts them online for others to watch. I found him on YouTube as The Blind Gamer.
Hi, I'm Steve Saylor, I'm blind, and I play video games.
Originally, when it started, I wanted to kind of show my friends, like, this is how bad I am at video games. And that to me was hilarious. It was never a, like, oh, just kind of a, like, woe is me, the struggle is real, hashtag whatever. And I kind of thought, if I thought it was funny, then other people would think it's funny too. And then they would also sort of like not be uncomfortable watching someone who is blind, who is able to play a game. And I always kind of say, it's like, I'm Steve first, and I'm blind second. So I'm still a gamer first, but I'm blind second.
Steve tells me about his vision.
I have a condition called nystagmus, which is an involuntary eye movement where I can't control. Essentially, just my eyes move back and forth, and it makes everything blurry. The best way I can able to describe it is my vision is 20/200 with glasses on. I just can't see detail or distance.
Which makes it difficult for Steve to play video games.
I generally have to be within at least minimum a foot, 2 feet from the screen in order to be able to actually see as like 80 to 90% of what's on the screen. Actually, growing up, it was very difficult to be able to play video games, just because obviously the technology is not able for me to be able to get that close in order to be able to see. So I was mostly just watching my brother play, and then it wasn't until I got older that I was able to sort of adapt to what I had and able to play video games the way I do.
Steve's YouTube channel not only shows that he is able to play, but it shows how he does it. It also allows him to open up about his disability.
I actually did create a video where I did a Q&A where I just sort of answered anything that I could think of, what people would ask, what my vision is, how I'm actually able to play, how I'm able to edit my videos, how to what can I see, what can't I see, and I generally would always say, hey, like to the negative commenters and say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry if you feel like I misled you. It's not the case. I am still blind. I did make a video that explains everything about my vision. Watch it, and then if you have any questions, let me know.
Not every playthrough goes smoothly for Steve.
Yes, there are definitely a lot of things that don't make it on my channel when it comes to like some of the frustrations I have when I'm trying to be able to play a game, because I'll edit those out. But because I want to make it so that it's entertaining for people to watch.
When it comes to accessibility in video games, Steve echoes the thoughts of the game developers I met at the Game Accessibility Conference. Gamers with disabilities want to play the same games that their friends are playing. That means mainstream games.
There are games that are created for people with either low mobility or with low vision or complete vision loss or like low hearing. So there are games that are kind of created for that, and that's great, but that's not what our friends are playing. They're not playing those kind of games. They're playing the Assassin's Creed. They're playing the Uncharted's. They're playing the Call of Duties or the Grand Theft Autos, and we want to play those too. So any chance that a AAA developer can be able to add that into the game, it just makes it that much better. And they are seeing the benefits of opening their accessibility options up within video games, because it opens up to a genre or niche of community within the gaming community that they didn't have access to before.
Steve offers additional advice to AAA game developers. And for newbies like me, AAA means mainstream games.
Give it the control to the player. Give that option to them. It's like you have the ability to kind of adjust difficulty level, or adjust speed, or adjust just the kind of how powerful certain weapons are. You have that capability. Give that control to the player so that someone like myself can be able to adjust how I'm able to play, but still make it challenging. But then also allow you to be able to play how you are able to play, and it's still challenging to you as well.
And speaking of how I'm able to play, here comes the moment of truth. For the first time in 10 years, I'm about to play a video game. I'm excited, but nervous. At least Steve is here to guide me.
So my hat's off. I'm ready to start playing.
Heck yeah.
The game I'm about to play is called Way of the Passive Fist, made by Toronto game developer Household Games. It is a two-dimensional fighting game.
You'll definitely want to hear the sound effects, because that's where it's going to help you. Think of this as more, instead of just a fighting game or basically just button mashing to be able to fight, you're technically, this whole game is you're dodging everyone's attacks.
Oh, great.
So you have a very powerful punch, but you can't use it all the time. You have to use your dodges to build up that power meter, so you can actually be able to deal one punch, essentially one punch is one kill.
I'm up for the challenge, but first Steve gives me a crash course on how to navigate the PlayStation 4 controller.
So I'm going to kind of show you how the buttons will work. So right now, where your right thumb is, you're currently over the X button.
Right, and that's kind of like if I relate it to a Nintendo 64 controller, which I remember, that would be A.
That's correct, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And so then the one on your right thumb to the right is the B, or that's considered the circle button.
Circle.
And then the one to your left is the square button, which is generally X. And then the one above it, which is triangle button, is Y. Yeah.
And then my bumpers.
Yes.
What do the bumpers do in this game?
So in this game, the only button you really need to worry about is your R2 button, which is the one underneath your middle, your middle right. So that's that one is.
So it's on the right-hand side, and it's kind of like a little...
like a trigger.
Yeah, trigger.
Yeah. So now you're ready to go.
Oh my gosh.
So it's chapter 1, Return from Exile. Basically, you're on a deserted planet, and you're essentially you're now coming out of exile, because you're this big kind of really cool warrior, and you're kind of going back into the civilization.
Very cool.
So
I'm nervous.
you'll be fine. So. Yeah. Okay. So now there's an enemy on the screen.
Okay. Well, in that I actually heard a sound, right? It went.
Yes. Yeah. So that's when you know an enemy is just like that. They dashed onto the screen.
Something happened. Okay.
Yeah. So the text, unfortunately, doesn't do text-to-speech within this game.
Okay.
But it does say an enemy is approaching. Just before he attacks, parry with square, which is essentially your X button.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So hit the X button right now to move the dialog box, and hit triangle. There you go.
Oh my
you just knocked down your first enemy.
Yay!
Wow, I did it. I know it's just the beginning of the game, but I'm starting to have fun.
Almost. So do it one more time. Yes, you got it. See, there you go.
It's hard to listen to those little cues.
I know. It's once we pick up the pattern of it, you'll be much better at it.
And then
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
So when you hear him go, oof, that means you want to hit dodge.
I thought he made a different sound.
No, he's now adding a second sound into it.
Ah,
so
pause, pause, I'm overwhelmed.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
The game got a bit harder, and I was getting lost in the sounds and couldn't follow as well. But I soldier on.
Leave me alone! You're a bully!
And triangle again. Yep, there you go. You did it, Scene 1 finished. And you got a silver medal.
Oh my gosh.
That's actually pretty good.
That's not gold,
and you just got a new record.
Oh my god. For me, I'm slowly getting it.
Yeah. All right. So now, do you want to be able to try with the different types of enemies too? Or do you want to keep going? I think you got it. You figured it out.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of time, right?
Exactly.
It's just like
all
figuring it out.
Yeah. It's, so that, I mean, that's the thing about video games. It's gonna be. You got to be some sort of challenge. You can't just sort of like. So it's got. You got to figure that out as you go.
I'm used to being the best at everything.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, you know.
Steve shares this message to other people living with vision loss.
Don't be afraid that you're gonna suck at a game. It's gonna happen at first. It's gonna be okay, but find a game that you love and just play it as much as you want.
I take his advice as I continue playing Way of the Passive Fist.
Oh, no, not him again. I forgot I just punched him. Punch! He doesn't like it.
Actually, that helps because it blocks him from doing his thing.
Ah. Oh, that was really tough. Kind of surprising. But I think I've leveled up for my next competition. Do you know Jason Fair?
No, I don't actually.
Well, he's who I'm going against next.
Well, good luck. You did great, and I think you're going to do awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
While I'm in Toronto, I'm going to meet with another blind gamer, an old colleague of mine from the CNIB. I've made plans to head to his home and play one of his favorite video games.
Ow.
Finish him.
This is Jason Fair. He is 43 and has been blind since birth, but that didn't stop him from developing an interest in playing video games as a child. His favorite game these days is Mortal Kombat XL, a three-dimensional fighting game which he plays on the Xbox. And I want to know how he does it.
Now, some of the games have so many audio cues, there's a lot you can do without having to see it. The good thing is a lot of people have done this before me. So there's an online guide that somebody has written that sort of goes through all the menus, what order they're in, you know, what order the sub-menus are in, etc.
Jason uses either his PC or Xbox console to play games because of their screen reader capability.
Narrator is one that provides a screen reader when navigating through the Xbox system, not necessarily in the games, but on the console itself. And on the PC, because I can access the system through a screen reader as well.
And I have another burning question for Jason. How do sighted people react to him playing video games?
You just sort of get this stunned silence, and people have no idea that was even possible.
After playing Way of the Passive Fist with Steve's help, I'm excited to take on Jason, playing his game of choice, the two-player Mortal Kombat XL.
So what do you find is the most difficult thing as like a blind gamer?
I think just getting used to the games, and at this point sort of understanding that parts of it are accessible and parts of it are usable, but you have to do a lot more work. Like I have to find menu guides and use character recognition sometimes. Yeah. And so I think that's you need to sort of be the type of person that doesn't mind kind of experimenting with things.
For sure.
And which I am. I like that sort of thing.
And that's why I'm on this journey. Time to experiment with this new game. Jason gives me a quick orientation of the Xbox controller.
So A is your, what they call front punch.
Okay, let's try that.
Like that.
Sounds like I punched you.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's not you right now.
Yeah, we're just in training mode.
Yeah.
As it turns out, A is for a kick.
Okay, so if you push upward on the stick, or upward on the directional pad, you'll do a jump. You can hear that.
Yep.
And you can hear from the stereo sound. Yeah, you can hear from the stereo sound that where your character is. Now the other character isn't moving right now, so that's why you can't hear him.
Okay, there are a ton of different moves depending on how I hit the controller buttons. I'm not sure I've gotten them all down yet, but
do you want to try giving it a round, a competition between us?
Here goes nothing.
Round one, fight.
Ooh.
I'm trying to find you.
There you go.
Yeah. So how do I know if I've gotten you? Like, how do I know if I won?
If you lose, your controller will vibrate right at the end.
Ah.
That's violence.
Oh, enough of this.
Now your competitive nature is coming out.
Chill of despair.
Okay, so that little.
What was that? Shung, shung, shung.
That was me.
Sub-Zero wins.
Oh my gosh! I just finished you.
You did. Yeah. So what that you heard on the left-hand side, you heard a little boing.
Mm-hmm,
That was my health. It's that warning that says my health is about done.
Okay.
Games inherently have been a very, very visual medium. Game developers just up until fairly recently haven't really considered that blind people even can play games. You know, EA has done, I mean, there's other companies I think that have put some effort into it, but EA is the first major game studio that has done this. And I think it really, really helps show other game developers that this is a possibility, and this is a way to reach a whole segment of a whole segment of a market that they just haven't before.
Oh, I just threw you. This is fun.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Too little, too late.
That was kind of mean. I think you stabbed me. I hear myself bleeding again. Drip, drip, drip. Oh.
Feel the chill of despair. Sub-Zero wins.
Yes! Yes! Sub-Zero wins. Feel the chill.
I think you just did there's something in the game called a brutality, and I think you just did that. I'm not even sure what you did.
I'm not sure how.
My first round and victory playing Mortal Kombat. Jason tells me about the big picture win for the blind and low vision community.
It's about people with disabilities having the same access to games as their sighted peers, being able to talk about the same things. You know, it's a conversation point. And it's all about social inclusion, I think.
I find that the audio cues are really helpful.
Yeah, and I think with this game, with Mortal Kombat, is they do a really good job with the stereo separation.
Yeah.
So you can really tell where each character is, and if you pick the right two characters, they have different sounds.
Thanks so much for showing me this, Jason. Turns out I am a straight-up assassin.
Thank you, I think. You completely destroyed me. I'm humbled and surprised.
I'm not surprised. Clearly, this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. With every step I take, I realize that playing video games is more achievable than I thought. I was able to play video games for the first time in 10 years with other blind gamers. But I can't help but think about how video games impact everyone. Video games have become a staple in today's society. You might not consider yourself a video gamer, and in the traditional sense, you might not be. But if you find yourself pulling out your phone to play a game, then in today's society, you're a gamer.
Video games are connecting the world like never before. They mirror societal changes we see on an everyday basis, and they have the power to also create these changes. They can reproduce cultural issues, and they may be the most important societal change when it comes to the subject of inclusion. This is Ian Larson. He's a 28-year-old gamer with a master's in sociology. His love of video games set him on a path to earn a PhD. Why? Because he's made it his life's work to study and research the sociology of video games. Ian is currently studying at San Diego State University in Southern California. I know what you're thinking, sunny San Diego. I wasn't able to be there with him, but he did join me for a video call.
Hi, Ian.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I want to know what directed his field of study.
Is there anything that inspired you to focus specifically on video games?
I was always a gamer at heart, so I grew up playing video games from an early age. I had older brothers, so games were always in the household. So it was always an interest of mine in terms of a hobby, but it wasn't until I was in my undergraduate career at UC Berkeley that I started to see that this is something that sociology can look at as well. Video games have developed into these multinational products where people are interacting on a national scale. They're meeting potential mates or potential friends in video games, and also in their local spheres as well, because people implement video games into those social spaces as well. I saw kind of an opening for sociology to focus on video games that wasn't really being tackled by sociology in general. So there was a small niche within sociology that I saw I could potentially find a place for me.
I think you brought up something, is that video games are very social. And I think often people see it as isolation rather than a social environment. Can you talk about a little bit of the things that you've discovered with the social interactions that video games give people as a platform in today's society?
When people typically talk about video games, they have this assumption that the kind of this picture of the isolated gamer in their parents' basement playing alone, which recent trends actually find that people play together with other people more than often. So they play about 6 to 7 hours per week with someone, either online or in person.
So that old stereotype of a gamer is changing.
The game industry itself promotes online interaction where people are playing with people across the country, even friends down the street potentially. And you've seen this shift, but at the same time, there are still local groups that meet up weekly at events or casual meetups to share that interaction in a physical space.
And some of that is inspired by our smartphones.
Now we have video game consoles with us at all times.
Mm-hmm.
You can play them on your phone, you can play them on your computer. One of the biggest consoles right now is Nintendo Switch, which is both the console and a handheld hybrid. So you can take gaming with you anywhere. The shift with mobile is really interesting too, because for the first time in video game history, you're starting to see a group of people who would never consider themselves gamers, like a large population, what you would think of mothers or people who are on their commute. They're playing just as much as your gamers at home. They're playing games on their cell phone while they wait for the train.
Exactly.
They're playing while they wait for someone to be picked up.
And why should everybody care about accessibility in video games?
Video games are a big part of our lives now. The majority of people are playing them. It creates a cultural understanding for people across the world. And it's an entertainment media that is unlike any other. You're both experiencing and watching something at the same time, so you're a participant in this world.
And then Ian tells me something that rings true to what I've learned on my quest.
There's been a big push both in the video game industry and the community at large to be more inclusive within the video game industry. So it includes putting more characters of color, female protagonists in video games, but also having a diverse cast of characters. You've also seen a big push within the independent developer community to be more inclusive of people of different backgrounds.
Thinking about inclusion and the shifting demographics in the typical player, there's one more person I have to meet to complete my journey. This brings me to the city where I live and the nation's capital, Ottawa.
With almost 1 million people, Ottawa is a dynamic city with a small town feeling. You can visit the Parliament buildings, take in professional theater at the National Arts Centre, view local artworks at the Ottawa Art Gallery, and relax with a friend at one of the many bars and restaurants in the famous Byward Market.
I'm Shelby Travers, and I've now played 2 mainstream video games. But even more important than the fun of gaming, I've learned the lesson that playing video games is all about inclusion. Speaking of inclusion, it's time that I find a female blind gamer. And I found her right here in Ottawa.
There was reading I would be a lot closer, but because of the bright colors and stuff, I don't have to be as close as I normally would.
This is Emily Medema. She started gaming at the tender age of 3. Legally blind since birth, she had to prove to her family that she could play. Now 33, she continues to enjoy playing video games and considers herself an avid gamer. These days, Emily is into playing Mega Man 3 by Capcom Games on her PC. Mega Man is a small blue spaceman-looking android who was created to defend the world against robotic threats in a galaxy sometime in the future. The game was created in 1987 and has gone on to sell over 30 million copies worldwide. Emily plays Mega Man because of the high contrast in colors in the game.
I have always been visually impaired. I have very good color vision. I'm very nearsighted, so I have to have the screen right up close to me. And I also don't have any depth perception, so I use a cane or else I'd probably fall downstairs.
Relatable.
Yes.
This led to a preference for games from indie developers that lend well to her low vision.
For example, the 2D, very bright colors, voice acting, so you don't have to read all the lines. Some of them are 8-bit, which are, there's not so much detail, so you're able to see it easier. Mainly things like that, like a good mix of the new and the old together.
And Emily plays for a wide variety of reasons.
I use video games for such a multitude of different purposes. It's to escape reality, like, I don't know, if something is frustrating, you know, it takes you out of things for a little bit. Creativity, if I want to get, you know, engaged into something very creative, I usually engage in a story, like a creative story type game. Even if I'm frustrated and just want to let off some steam, right? Just play a good platformer and just shoot things, you know?
So I have to ask, what's it like being a female in a male-dominated gamer world?
In the gaming community, I definitely encounter a lot more males than females. I find people are usually just very receptive and accepting that I am a female gamer. I do have to deal with some of the stereotypes that female gamers do have. Like when you stream a video game, you know, you're just using your feminine wiles to, you're not really into the game itself, it's just to draw people in, where that's not really the case. It's for the enjoyment of the game.
And this carries over to character portrayal.
I think depending on the game, women are still very much portrayed as sex objects, dressed very scantily clad, or, you know, their actions are very either flirtatious or, you know, seen as just a sort of trope to turn on guys. I have found that there are, especially in indie games, there are more serious female hero characters that are starting to develop. And I think that's just such a wonderful thing. I think we just need to keep at it.
She shares a perspective on accessibility in gaming that I've heard several times now on my journey.
It's become such a popular hobby for a lot of people. I don't think it's right for people to be left out just because we're quote-unquote different, right? Like whether visually impaired, hearing impaired, things like that. I think that everybody should have the ability to be able to access a game and be able to experience that gameplay or richness of story or anything else you happen to get out of a game.
And what would Emily like to change?
I would say, if anything, put the options for people with disabilities like in the options or settings menus.
Yeah, exactly.
So that you can have that choice.
Okay, enough chit-chat. It's time for Emily to show me how she plays.
Okay, so we have your game Mega Man up here. I'm not sure if 100% this is going to be a game that my blindness will really be compatible with. So why don't you just start playing, and then as you're going through the game you can describe a little bit of what's going on, and I may ask you a few questions on the sounds to see if I'm learning as I go.
Sure. So I'm going to hit the game start.
So you're picking your characters.
Well, it's not really characters. You're playing Mega Man, but you're picking what enemy you want to fight.
Oh, I see.
And what level you're going to be doing compared to that enemy. So
who are you going to pick?
So if I click up, you'll hear the little boop. That means that I'm selecting. We have Snake Man, which is at the very top in the middle. And then we have Needle Man, that is to the right.
See, it's interesting. I don't know if it's because of the background noise, but I don't hear the thing that you're talking about. Where it goes boom.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
can you move?
Let's listen.
Oh, I see. Beep, beep. Okay,
Yeah,
it's more like a higher pitched tone. I see.
Yeah.
And now Emily gets into the action of Mega Man.
When you hear the boop,
yeah,
it means that you're just like you're actually warping down and you're standing. So I'm just standing around right now.
Yeah.
So when you jump, when you land, when you hear that,
yeah. So you only know when to jump based on something that's visual?
Yes,
okay.
Unfortunately. Because a lot of the enemies are pretty quiet.
Right. So I think that's where like other games, and this is where it goes into, you know, universal accessibility for blindness is a hard thing to achieve because every blindness is different. So where this, it really works for you because of the contrast and the simplicity of the game, that doesn't really do anything for me because I don't see the screen.
Right. Okay, and when you hear that, I don't know if you heard that little noise, that means that you're in like a safe room right before the boss or the main enemy comes.
Okay.
So when you hear the second noise, then you know that the enemy is going to be there, and you also hear the music change as well.
So are you ready to defeat him?
Yep.
All right.
This guy's pretty easy, so.
Oh, well, easy for you, I'm sure.
Oh. So this is Top Man. I'm basically shooting him, and he shoots 3 tops at you, and then aims it towards you, and then spins around and spins towards you. So you can jump over him. Oh, and of course I'm not timing it very well.
Yeah, you definitely do hear the music change. It's
and when you hear
intense.
the noise, that means you're getting hit, or when you hear the yeah, see how I just got hit there. There we go. And when you heard that noise, that means he exploded.
Well, thank you so much for showing me how you play the game and yeah, your perspective as a woman and a blind video gamer yourself.
Yeah, Ray, thank you very much for having me. I've really enjoyed this experience.
Another entirely different gaming experience. I didn't feel like I was able to play Mega Man with Emily, but I can see how it worked for her. Which goes to show adaptation is as unique as the player. And that's part of the challenge. Good, go forward. To the right.
I set out on this quest with the goal to play a mainstream video game, something that I haven't done since I lost most of my sight 10 years ago. My travels took me to the Game Accessibility Conference in San Francisco, where I was able to talk to developers about accessibility in video games. In Toronto, I played 2 avid gamers, Steve Saylor.
So hit the X button right now to move the dialog box, and hit triangle. There you go.
Oh my
you just knocked down your first enemy.
Yay!
And Jason Fair.
Violence begets violence.
Not enough of this.
Now your competitive nature is coming out.
And then back to Ottawa to meet a female gamer, Emily Medema.
I don't think it's right for people to be left out just because we're quote-unquote different, right?
I learned from Ian Larson, a sociologist in San Diego, that video games have the power to change the world.
Video games are a big part of our lives now. The majority of people are playing them. It creates a cultural understanding for people across the world. And it's an entertainment media that is unlike any other.
While I was able to achieve my goal and play a mainstream video game, I learned that this means so much more than just being able to punch, kick, and jump. What blind and low vision gamers want is simple in theory. They want to be able to play mainstream video games and talk about it with their friends who are playing the same games.
A good return there, call it 13 yards.
They want to be included, and that doesn't mean the same thing to every player, which means it's actually quite complex. As I found out from Ian Hamilton, the director of the Game Accessibility Conference, it is up to the developers, like Karen Stevens of EA Sports, and the gaming community to champion accessibility in video games.
But if the gamers aren't saying like, what you've done is really good, I like it, keep doing it, or like, that game over there is doing it, why aren't you, please do this, you know, you need to have that continual dialogue, like the developers and the gamers speaking with each other.
Throughout this journey, I've learned a lot of different things on a topic that I really didn't know much about. You know, I wanted to be able to play a video game, and I was able to play one. But in that, I learned creating universal accessibility when something like blindness is such a spectrum disability is hard to achieve because every single person may need something differently. Creating something that works for me or something that works for someone else in the blind community could be 2 different things. And that's a challenge that developers are facing. But when I was in San Francisco and talking to all the people that I have, it's good to know that people are trying. The game developers want to make this medium accessible, they just don't know how quite yet. How do they make screen readers? Something that's compatible with low vision and contrast. All these different things that they have to think about. What I think is good and what's great about the future is that the game developers want to hear from the blind and low vision community. They're not assuming like they know something and know an experience that they really don't. And I think that's what's really exciting about the future. And I think that's what's going to be able to make people that are blind able to play games.
Game over.
Host, Shelby Travers. Producers, Darcy DeToni, Lisa No. Videographer, Darcy DeToni. Additional camera, Matthew McGurk. Mark Schultz. Editor, Darcy DeToni. Graphics, Mike Smith. Audio post, Mark Phoenix. Integrated Describe Video Specialist, Ron Rickford. Special thanks, Game Accessibility Conference. Video game footage courtesy of Capcom Games, EA Sports, Epic Games, Household Games, Metal Pop Games, Pangea Games, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. Photos courtesy of Shelby Travers. Post-production supervisor Janice Civitilli. Senior producer Jennifer Johnson. Director production Kara Nye. Director programming AMI TV Brian Perdue. Vice President programming and production John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2018 Accessible Media Inc.